Good morning, honors. Mrs. Latham here. I decided to do something different this week. Instead of writing on my iPad, I decided that I would show you how I would answer these questions using my laptop. That way you also know how to type these on your slides for you. So this week we're looking at section 8.2, which is multiplying and factoring polynomials. So before we get into specifically multiplying, factoring polynomials, I do want to review with you a little bit. So first thing, we have to simplify each expression. Let me just change the font here. So we have 2 times x plus 7. So what we need to do is distribute. So 2 times x gives us 2x. 2 times 7 gives us 14. So we have our final answer of 2x plus 14. I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy and paste it. Oops. That way I can put my answer for number 2. So for number 2, I have negative 10 times 2 plus 9k. So very similar, I'm going to distribute. So 2 times negative 10 gives us negative 20. Negative 10 times 9k gives us negative 90k. And notice in 1 and 2, we do not have any like terms, so that is our final answer. Looking at 3 and 4, this is from chapter 7. And so this is just multiplying exponents. So we have k cubed times 3k cubed. So I know I'm definitely going to be left with a 3 because I can't multiply it to any other numbers. And then I have 2k cubes. So what ends up happening is because we're multiplying their bases, we have to add their exponents. So I'm going to have k, and if we go up to format, text, superscript, it's going to be 3 plus 3. And what ends up happening is if I simplify that, hold on, I get 3k, and then I just want to add my exponent, which I get is 6. So that is our answer. So 3k to the 6th power would be our answer for that. So I'm going to do something really similar for number 4. Hold on. Should have made this frozen. That way I can't type where the questions are. So if you notice here, I have 4m squared times 2m cubed times m to the 4th. First of all, I have 2 numbers. So I'm going to have 4 times 2. And I'll multiply that by my m's. So I have m squared, m cubed, and m to the 4th. So we're going to add those exponents together. So 2 plus 3 plus 4. Change the size of the text box. Okay. So again, format, text, superscript, gets rid of it. So 4 times 2 is going to give me 8m, and then I'm going to add those exponents together, and we get 2 and 3 is 5, plus 4 is 9. So we get 8m to the 9th. Okay. So looking at monomials and polynomials, we can multiply them by using the distributive property and the property of exponents. So pretty much what we did on question 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, we are going to combine and solve for these. So I'm going to have my text box for number 1. I'm going to have it be purple again, and I'm going to change my font. You do not have to go through the process of doing that. So if I distribute, I am going to get 2a. I'm going to do the exponents last. Times 6a plus 2a times 6. So that's just me distributing. and I am going to insert my exponents second, just because it makes my life a little bit easier. Okay, so that's me distributing the 2a to the 6th. After that, I want to multiply, so let's see, 2 times 6 gives us 12. A to the 6 times a should give us a to the 7th. Okay, let's get rid of that. And then plus 2 times 6 again is 12, and then a to the 6 days because we're not adding it to anything else. So that is your final answer. Okay, let's do this again. Bigger text box. 24, let's put it in the middle. So I'm gonna distribute again, and like before, I'll put in the exponents second. So I have my 6b to the 4th times 3b squared, and I'm gonna have my 6b to the 4th times negative 6b, and then lastly, I'm gonna have my 6b to the 4th times 5. I'm gonna go back in and add my exponents just to save some time. And I'm just copying and pasting this. Okay, so that's me distributing. Now I want to simplify. So looking at the first one, 6 times 3 is going to give me 18. I have b to the 4th times b, which is going to give me b to the, not the 4th, but to the 5th. I'm going to add that. There's an imaginary 1 here. Okay. Then looking at that middle one, I have 6 times negative 6, which gives us negative 36b. And then I have, you know what I just noticed? This is supposed to be b to the 2nd, and that changes it to b to the 6th. Sorry, guys. So then here, this is going to be b to the 5th, because I have b to the 4th and just a b. And then lastly, 6 times 5 gives us 30, and then b to the 4th stays. So there is our answer for that one. So let's try this again. Same exact process. I'm going to insert my text box. Let's change size, color, put it in the middle. Okay, for this one, if you notice, we have 2 variables this time, so we have to be really careful with what we're doing. So first, let's distribute, and I'll add in my exponents later. So 3xy squared times 8x is going to be plus 3xy squared times a negative 6y. Okay, and I'm going to go in and add my exponent. So there we go. Again, if I distribute, 3 times 8 is going to give me 24. I have one x here and another x here. So this is going to give me x squared. And then I still have my y squared. So that's going to come down. I can't multiply that by anything. Let's get rid of superscript. So that's going to be plus 3 times negative 6 gives us negative 18. I'm going to turn the subtraction. I have only one x, so that comes down. And then I have y squared times y, which is going to give me y raised to the 3rd power. And this is our final answer. So notice in this one, the x's changed, and then in this one, the y changed. Okay, let's do number 4. When you guys go to do this, I am going to make it a point to give you the text boxes. So where it says type here, you will just have to type there. because this one has a couple, it has 3, it has a trinomial and a monomial. I'm going to change it to size 18. That way everything fits. So we are going to distribute again. So 3a squared b times a squared plus 3a squared b times 8ab plus, again, 3a squared b times 3b squared. And again, I am going to go back in and add, oops, wrong spot, the exponents. So this is a squared, a squared, a squared, b squared. Okay? So when I go to distribute, I have 3 times 1, which leaves us with 3. A squared times a squared is going to give us a to the 4th. And then the b gets left by itself. There we go, b. Okay. And then I have 3 times 8, which gives us 24. A squared times a is going to give us a raised to the, not to the 4th, but to the 3rd power. And then I'm going to have my b value, and that's going to be raised to the 2nd power since we have b times b. Okay? I'm going to copy and paste that plus sign so I don't have to get rid of the superscript. Then I have 3 times 3, which gives us 9. A squared is the only a value here, so that's going to come down. And then notice I have b times b squared, so instead of b squared, it's going to be b to the 3rd. And actually, let's make this bigger. I think it'll fit. Oh, maybe not. And this is our final answer for that. So this is just multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. So the first one, binomial, trinomial, binomial, trinomial. Okay. The second thing I want to look at with you guys is called the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor in our case, because we're dealing with polynomials, is going to be the greatest monomial that is a factor of each of the individual monomials in the polynomial. So if you notice, for this one, I have 5x cubed. That is one monomial. I have 25x squared, which is another monomial, and then 45x. Oops, I meant to highlight that. And that is another one of the monomials. So what I can do is, I'll do this in the peachy color. For 5x squared, that is the same thing as 5 times x times x times x. So I'm breaking it down into its prime factors. And this is what we were practicing before we were out of school, was prime factorization to simplify radicals. Same thing is going to apply here. For 25x squared, that's the same thing as saying 5 times x times x. And then for 45x, that's 3 times 5 times x. So similar to the radicals, we want to find the things that repeat. So if you notice, each one of these, let's see, what color do I want to use? Let's use gray. It'll show up. So each one of these uses or has a 5. Okay? And also notice that they all have an x. So the greatest common factor between all of these, let me change the font, is going to be 5x. That is your final answer there. Okay? Please excuse my dogs. They're playing in the background with their squeaky toy. That's the noise you hear. So let's try doing this again, but now for number 6, I'm going to add a text box. So we have 3x to the 4th. I'll highlight that in green. I have negative 9x squared. That's really important, that negative sign. That'll be in blue. And then negative 12x. Do that in purple. So, looking at the green one, that is the same thing as 3. Let's pick a darker green. That's the same thing as 3 times x times x times x times x. That's what that means. Okay. For the blue one, the reason why the negative is important is because it's kind of like saying negative 1 times 3 times 3, right? 3 times 3 gives us 9, and then 9 times negative 1 gives us the negative 9. And then times x times x. And then the last one, the purple one, similar, right? Negative 1 times, and then that's going to be 3 times 4 times x. Okay. So, just like before, let's find what they have in common. So they all have a 3. So I'm going to highlight the 3. Also, if you click the little redo button, fun fact, it will redo what you just did. So I highlighted the 3 or whatever I'm picking, and so that's what it's doing. Same thing with the x's, they repeat. Just a little trick if you're trying to like do multiple things the same way. So there we go, right? We have everything that's repeating. They each have one x and one 3. So the answer to this is going to be 3x. That is the greatest common factor. Now here's the thing. If this was x squared, so I'm putting it with the caret just to save time, right? And so we had times x down here. I'm going to leave it highlighted because if you notice, now they all have an extra x. Oh, that was dark. Let's change that. Okay, same thing here. This one also has an extra x. So if you have it where there's 2 x's repeating, then your final answer would actually change. So it would be 3x squared would be the greatest common factor. Okay? Then lastly, once we're able to find the greatest common factor, what we can do is factor out the polynomial. So we're kind of doing the reverse of the first 4 questions. The first 4 questions, if we're looking, we are distributing 2a to the 6th into each monomial inside the parentheses. Now what we want to do is the opposite. We're starting here and trying to pull out something. So in this case, if we're going the reverse, we're pulling out 2a to the 6th. So let's break down all of these numbers. That's not what I wanted. Okay. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to highlight these again. Okay, so there we go. There they are highlighted. So if I break up 4x to the 5th, we are going to get 2 times 2 times x times x times x times x again times x again. Okay, that's that one. For the purple, we would get -1 times, let's see, I believe it's 4 times 6. So 4 would be broken down by 2 and 2. And then 6 is 2 times 3. So if I check, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 again is 8, 8 times 3 is 24, so that works. And then times x times x times x. And then we're going to do the blue. So the blue, let's pick a different color, that one, is 8 and x, so that's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times x. So if you notice, let's get rid of the space. they all have a 2 and an x. Actually, if we notice, they actually have more than that. They have 2 2s and an x. So I have 2, 2, and my x. I have my 2, 2, and x. And then my 2, 2, and an x. So that means if I multiply all of that together, okay, I will type that over here. That means 2 times 2 is 4. That means they have 4 all in common, and then x. So that is our greatest common factor, is 4x. So then that means we have to rewrite it so it looks like the first 4 questions where there's a number on the outside. So I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to make this smaller. That way I can fit it all. Okay. So if I'm pulling out, we don't need it highlighted, 4x, what do I get left with inside the parentheses? Well, I pulled out a 4 from here, so I'm left with 1. And if I pull out 1x from 5 x's, I'm going to be left with x raised to the 4th power. Oh, it didn't do that. That's weird. Format, text, superscript. Okay. Then if I pull out from purple the negative 24x cubed, if I pull out a 4 from negative 24, I get left with negative 6. And then I have x, and it is going to be raised to the 2nd power. I pulled out 1 from the 3. And then lastly, for the last one, if I pull out 4 from 8, I'm left with 2. And if I pull out an x from x, I get left with nothing. So this is our factored form. Okay? That's the final answer. So let's do one more. I'm going to add a text box. Oops. So I'm going to leave it at size 14. I'm going to keep it small, so bear with me. If we are looking, I'm just going to use one color. I'm not going to separate everything this time. So for number 8, let's do a different color, let's do green. I'm going to have 3 times 3 times, and then x is going to repeat 6 times. So yes, I understand this kind of takes a while to type out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x's. So that is the first one. The second one is 15x to the 4th. So that's broken down as 3 times 5 times, and then x is going to repeat 4 times. And then for 12, that's 3 times 4, and x is going to repeat twice. So notice, they all have a 3. And then they all have 2 x's. So that's what we can pull out from them then. So I can pull out, I'll write this bigger, maybe I'll make it black, is 3x, and then if I format it, it's going to be x squared because there's 2 of them. So what does that look like as our final answer? So I'm going to have 3x, again, squared as the number on the outside. And then if I pull out a 3 from 9, I'm left with 3. And if I pull out 2 x's from 6 x's, we are going to be left with 4. If I pull out 3 from 15, I'm left with 5. If I pull out 2 x's from 4 x's, we are going to be left with 2 x's. And then lastly, if I pull out 3 from 12, I'm left with 4. If I pull out 2 x's from 2 x's, I do not have any x's left. So that is our final answer. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I will be going over this a little bit in our morning meeting on Monday or Tuesday. We're Tuesday. Sorry, guys. So please reach out with any questions. Again, if you submit the presentation early, I will check it and I'll give you feedback, and you guys can try as many times to change your answers. You do have, I actually will show you quickly. This is going to be your homework for the week. So due on Wednesday for 8, you're going to have to finish this slideshow that I'm currently on right now. And there's also going to be an online worksheet that you can type your answers into. That's 8.1 and 8.2 practice. You will have textbook homework. You will have Khan Academy assignments. And I'm also going to assign you lesson quizzes from Pearson. I will post a link on Google Classroom. You will have to click on the link to view the quizzes. They are multiple choice. They are 4 questions each, so the quiz is worth 4 points each, and you only get 1 try at it. And that will not be posted until Wednesday morning, so try to make sure you get everything due on Wednesday done. That way you can work on this for Friday. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye, guys.